Tonight on CTV News at 5, financial reports coming down from colleges across the province today, with eyes on Conestoga College here in Waterloo Region. Plus, piloting under pressure. A new report out of the University of Waterloo says female pilots perform better in stressful scenarios. And taking time to test well water quality. Dr. Matthew Tenenbaum is back to give us tips and tricks on keeping your drinking water safe. CTV News at 5 starts right now. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. First at 5, financial reports are coming down across the province today for colleges, but with a number of staff and program cuts which have already taken place at many institutions, eyes are on Conestoga College here in Waterloo Region. Let's turn to CTV's Karis Mapp, who has been following this for us tonight. Karis, last year's report caused some controversy.
That's right, Ashley, and most of that stemming from the school's financial statements. A nearly $252 million surplus was reported. That number doubled the previous year's surplus of $106 million. Last year, the college attributed the extra money to an increase in the international student population. This all coming as the past year has seen roughly 180 employees laid off, as well as 2 campus locations consolidating after their leases expired. Following last year's report, Conestoga officials said with the federal cap on international enrollment, a similar surplus was not expected this year. We're still awaiting this year's report to see where the college's finances stand after all of those developments. Ashley.
That's CTV's Karis Mapp reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Karis. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he's working with Canadian telecom providers to try and ensure remote First Nations have reliable access to the internet in the wake of his decision to cancel the province's contract with Elon Musk's Starlink.
I had meetings with them actually last week and saying, hey, we got to get moving on this. And it's unfortunate we had to cancel that, but I can't deal with a guy that, well, I guess the divorce happened between him and Trump, but the guy was attacking our country, and I just couldn't do it.
On Wednesday, Ontario announced it will pay a fee to end its $100 million contract with Starlink. That contract was announced last year to deliver high-speed internet to thousands of residents in rural and northern Ontario. Ford said he was killing the deal in March when Trump moved ahead with his tariffs. Meanwhile, the White House press secretary says the clock is ticking down towards tomorrow's deadline for Canada and other U.S. trading partners to strike a deal in the face of steep tariffs.
Of our 18 major trading partners, 2/3 of those trading partners have a deal. We've sent out 17 letters to countries around the world. And the rest of those countries that either do not have a deal or have a letter, they will be hearing from this administration by the midnight deadline tonight. So yes, tomorrow, August 1st, the reciprocal rates will be going into effect.
Earlier today, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he will delay imposing harsher tariffs on Mexico for another 90 days. The move pushes back duties that were set to go in effect tomorrow while both countries continue trade negotiations. Trump made the announcement in a post on Truth Social after he finished a call with Mexico's president. Trump says the U.S. will continue to charge a 25% tariff, fentanyl tariff, a 25% tariff on cars, and a 50% tariff on steel, aluminum, and copper. Female pilots perform better under pressure compared to their male counterparts, according to a new study out of the University of Waterloo. The study involved 20 experienced general aviation pilots, half were women, who used this flight simulator. The pilots all wore eye-tracking glasses and completed standard flight tasks, but with a twist. They had to get through an unexpected mock engine failure and landing challenges. The goal was to test their reactions under pressure. The lead author of the study says women may be better at keeping control and making decisions in stressful flight scenarios.
We looked at very particular things associated with having a very controlled landing approach, where we saw that female participants were able to manage that much better in these high-stress scenarios versus those male pilots who ended up having a little bit more error with respect to, say, things like the airspeed they were trying to control while coming down from this engine failure and safely landing the plane.
At 6, CTV's Heather Senerin meets an aviation student who took part in the study. Okay, well, let's turn to weather. Let's start with our special air quality statement from Environment Canada. It is a special air quality statement, rather, for southwestern Ontario going through today and into this evening. There is smoke and haziness coming in from the Prairie Province from the wildfires. So do keep care while you're outside. Keep a track of any symptoms like eye, nose, throat irritation, and of course, headaches and mild cough. As we turn to our satellite, you can see there is not much precipitation out there, not too many clouds. There's a bit of cloud cover expected overnight tonight, but overall, not too bad. And current temperatures in southern Ontario, we're looking at 23 degrees in Kitchener-Waterloo. Let's take a look outside our station in South Kitchener. A few clouds and a light breeze. This summer continues. CTV News continues in 2 minutes, but before we head into our break, here's what you need to know. Let's learn about all things crab apples tonight at Apple Flats Orchard. The guided tour starts at 6:30 p.m. and there are snacks included. Tickets can be found online. Some Canadians are struggling due to a shortage of medications, including those for heart health and chronic migraines. CTV's Jacqueline Wilson learned more about how they're surviving day by day.
It's very unbearable. It really is.
A workplace accident in 2020 left Tony Heimbrock with chronic pain.
I fell 14 feet onto the concrete floor.
Since then, the Okotoks man says he's developed chronic migraines and a heart issue. While working, he used 2 to 3 Percocets a day. Now, because of a drug shortage, he says he's holding on to his last 2 pills.
I just sort of keep very low-keyed and try not to do anything and participate in life anymore. And it shouldn't be that way.
It's not just in Alberta. Canada is experiencing a nationwide shortage of both acetaminophen with oxycodone and codeine from manufacturing distribution at Teva Canada Limited. Health Canada says the situation is expected to improve by mid-August, but supply constraints are expected to continue until the end of September.
It's really helpful for us if patients are on these products that they call us before they're completely out of their medication to give us a bit of time to figure it out. They shouldn't panic. There are some alternatives that can be figured out for them. It just might take a bit of time because pharmacies will need to talk to the physicians.
Unfortunately for Heimbrock, other health issues leave him unable to use most alternatives.
If they had known that there was a prescription shortage in that medication, then some people can get by on other pain medications.
Howden thinks more suppliers and better communication about shortages can help prevent situations like this in the future.
One thing that we are seeing trends in here in Canada over the last decade or more is more single source or only dual source products. And what that means is you get one shortage of one manufacturer and all of a sudden you have no product available.
Tony Heimbrock hopes to get access again soon so he can get back to a more active and pain-free life. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
Water becomes a hot topic as temperatures continue to soar. For residents who use private wells, summer is a good time to do quality testing. Here to talk about why it's important to actively test your well water is Dr. Matthew Tenenbaum with Wellington Dufferin Guelph Public Health. Hello, Dr. Tenenbaum. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me today.
Well, first, let's talk about well water and what residents should be testing for.
Absolutely. So most of our population gets their water they drink from some groundwater source, meaning the water is being tapped from reservoirs underneath the earth. And for many people living in our counties, our rural population, they come in private wells. And that means that people are managing their own sources of drinking water. And it is really important if you are managing your own drinking water that you do periodic testing, ideally at least 3 times a year or so, but also at other times following big rainfall or big storms. The idea is that sometimes, unfortunately, those underground reservoirs of water can become contaminated in ways that make us sick, and testing regularly is a way to detect things that might cause you sickness before they can cause problems for you and your family. So we try to make it easy in public health. You can access testing through us, and we'll help you navigate any results you encounter along the way.
Okay, so it sounds like multiple times a year is the best way to go, just to make sure you're on top of it.
Yeah, spring is probably the most important time, but we say at least 3 times a year, and doing it more often doesn't hurt, especially if you have really unpredictable or unusual weather. What can happen in particular after big rainfalls is that, the ground can shift and contaminants that are on the surface can get underground and infiltrate the water you're drinking.
Now, what are the types of things that can happen within well water that can make people sick?
So the big thing we worry about when it comes to people getting sick is bacterial contamination. So unfortunately, what can happen is that bacteria from human or animal waste can get into water, and those are actually the key things that the testing we do focuses on. If you do drink water that contains, for example, E. coli, which is a bacteria we worry a lot about, you can, get stomach upset, have nausea, vomiting. You might become quite sick, even to the point where some people are having to go to hospital. Some of the bacteria that we worry about, in particular E. coli, can cause significant illness, in particular in young kids or those who are vulnerable. So testing your water is very important to make sure that you aren't consuming these harmful bacteria.
Now, if someone suspects that they've developed an illness from well water, what should they do? What are their best steps?
So obviously, if someone is sick, it is important to make sure that that person's getting medical care. So, see your doctor or whoever offers you primary care for you and your family in your community. Make sure that whatever is causing that person to feel ill is being investigated and worked up. If you know that you have a private well, that you drink from, testing your water in conjunction with that isn't a bad idea, just to make sure you can rule in or rule out that as a possible cause of bacterial contamination. Again, it's never a problem to test. You can't test too often, and testing is completely free. We help people access it in our community. It's done through the Provincial Public Health Lab at no cost to people who operate known wells.
Okay, so as summer continues to heat up and, well water becomes even more important, definitely some important advice. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Tenenbaum.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, time for another quick break, but before we go, here's what you need to know. Looking for a laugh? Lavender Fizz Comedy Open Mic is happening tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. at the TWB Cooperative Brewing. Pay as you can for your admission. Welcome back. Well, it was certainly cooler out there today, but you may have noticed a bit of hazy skies out there. The UV index also still quite high, despite temperatures being a little cooler and much more comfortable. Let's take a look outside. This was King Street in Kitchener a little earlier today. You can see the sun is peeking through a few clouds there. It will continue to be sunny with a little bit of cloud cover over the next few hours and into the evening, but it's shaping up to be a beautiful long weekend ahead, and definitely a nice way to send off July 2025. Let's take a look at our weather statement board. This is a special air quality statement from Environment Canada indicating that there is a bit of haze in the air from the forest fires from the western provinces. Now that's drifted over our region and will continue to be here for at least the next few hours into tonight and tomorrow. So do take care if you're outside, and of course keep an eye out for symptoms like eye, nose, throat irritation, headaches, and mild cough. If that happens, please seek medical attention. Let's take a look at our futurecast. As you can tell there, not a lot of cloud cover and no precipitation at the moment. Now that will continue throughout the evening today and into tomorrow. A bit of cloud cover for your Friday, but overall conditions are going to be quite a beautiful start to August. Certainly looking into the weekend as well. It's a nice way to end off your work week and head into your Saturday. Looking at temperatures right now around the region in Kitchener-Waterloo, we're at 23 degrees, so very comfortable. That's pretty much the average for southwestern Ontario this hour, and the humidex is right around their mark. So it's not very hot and it's not very humid. Very comfortable conditions in comparison to the hot, humid days we saw earlier in the week, but it's definitely going to feel hotter going into the weekend. At our almanac, our daytime high today was 22, so quite low compared to our normal of 26 this time of year. I don't think anyone's complaining, having a bit of a break. In 2007, it was 32.9, so it could be a lot hotter. As I mentioned earlier, cloud cover tonight and a low of 12 degrees. Very comfortable sleeping conditions. Could be even a night where you open up some windows and maybe turn off the air conditioning units if you have one. Tomorrow, sunny conditions, a high of 24, so still under our normal this time of year, but look at that UV index, a high of 9. So it is going to still be a very skin-safe day. You need to wear hats and maybe some sunscreen to stay sun-safe with that humidex so high. Looking at our 5-day forecast for Waterloo region, sunny conditions for your Friday, high of 24. Then your long weekend is shaping up to be a beauty. Saturday, sunny and 25. Sunday, a really warm one at 29 degrees and sunny. And Monday, a mix of sun and cloud and 27. All right, let's take a look at what's trending. The Toronto Blue Jays had the day off today, but not the front office team who are working on trade deadline day. The club has made a big splash in the trade market, adding some big-time pitching help. The Jays have acquired starter Shade Bieber from the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians will reportedly receive pitching prospect Cal Steven in a deal. MLB Pipeline lists Steven as the Jays' number 5 pitching prospect. Bieber, meanwhile, has yet to pitch this season after recovering from elbow surgery a year ago. The 30-year-old won a Cy Young during the 2020 pandemic-shortened season.
Especially up and close to him. Lucas hits one to deep right field. A 3-run homer.
The Jays wrapped up a 14 games in 13 days yesterday with a 9-8 win over Baltimore. The team went 9-5 in the busy stretch. The Jays are back in action tomorrow hosting Kansas City. Well, Eugenie Bouchard played her final match at the National Bank Open in Montreal.
That's wide. And that is the end of Eugenie Bouchard's career. Everyone stands up here.
Bouchard lost a 3-set thriller in Montreal before the event. She said this would be her last, and she would be ending her professional career in front of her home fans. Congratulations on an incredible career. As we head into our break, here's what you need to know. Head over to Uptown Waterloo tonight for the night market. The event is happening from 7 to 10 p.m. And if you can, the Food Bank of Waterloo Region will be there to collect donations. Stay with us. In tonight's Digital Dive, the SPCA and Humane Society in Niagara are bursting at the seams after receiving dozens of cats in only 4 days. Officials with the animal welfare organizations say over the span of the 4 days, they have received 74 cats and kittens dropped off. That brings the number of felines in their care to 221. For more on this story, our online team has you covered. Just scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen or go to ctvnewskitchener.ca. Time now to take a look at the final 5 stories we're following today. Regional police have arrested a 3rd suspect in a targeted shooting in Waterloo from earlier this year. It happened early in the morning on April 25th near University Avenue and Weber Street. No one was injured at the time. A 15-year-old boy and a 25-year-old man, both from Halton region, were arrested and charged with weapons-related offenses. Yesterday, police arrested a 24-year-old Kitchener man believed to be connected to the shooting. And 2 people have been arrested in a fatal shooting in Kitchener from last November. A 39-year-old man died after being wounded at the tiny home community, a Better Tent City. This week, police charged a 19-year-old Waterloo man with first-degree murder and a 22-year-old Ottawa man with accessory after the fact. Both men remain in custody. Police believe the shooting was targeted and that those involved knew each other. The SIU has invoked its mandate after a person arrested following a major crash on the 400 in Vaughan was injured. OPP say the crash happened in the northbound lanes at Bass Pro Mills around midnight, and that one driver fled the scene, but they were followed by one of the vehicles involved in the crash, who just happened to be an off-duty police officer. The suspect was arrested nearby shortly after. They were taken to hospital for injuries that were not believed to be life-threatening.
a three-vehicle collision, rear-end type crash. The suspect who fled was driving a green panel van, a contractor-type vehicle, slammed into the back of another minivan, which also then contacted a third vehicle. That third vehicle was then driven from the scene here in the attempts to locate and take into custody the person who fled on foot.
The northbound 400 was closed for about 9 hours for the investigation, but has since reopened. Meanwhile, the province's Special Investigation Unit says a 40-year-old man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Niagara Falls. This happened around 11:15 a.m. yesterday morning near a hotel at Stanley Avenue and Pierce Street. The police watchdog says the incident involved a Toronto police officer serving with the Repeat Offender Parole Enforcement Unit. The officer is believed to have opened fire during an attempted arrest that resulted in some kind of interaction. The SIU says a Hamilton police officer was also seriously injured in the incident, and the investigation is ongoing. Well, finally for us tonight, the Waterloo Regional Police Service is deep into this year's Backpack Challenge, and they are looking for some help. It seems this year's challenge is, well, proving a little more challenging than usual. The annual effort aims to prepare students in need for the school year with backpacks and other supplies, relying on donations from the community and businesses. This year's goal is to collect 5,000 backpacks.
It really sets kids up to start the school year focused, confident, proud, and excited to go through the school year and really make that school year a success.
What a great program. And if you'd like to donate, backpacks, school supplies, and gift cards can all be dropped off at police headquarters in Cambridge or any of their 3 police divisions in Waterloo Region. I know there's a lot of kids out there who are looking forward to those special presents. Well, that is our time for us tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll, of course, have more local news coverage coming up at 6 with Tony Grace. For now, here's CTV National News.